For my Lest to Forget project this semester, I have chosen to do Woodrow Wilson. I will be discussing his life and how he was a historical figure. Woodrow Wilson was the only president besides Andrew Jackson to have a foreign-born parent. Wilson was born with dyslexia and was never a strong reader until he was 10. Wilson developed a passion for political interest as well as literatures. While he attended Princeton, he grew intellectually, started reading widely, and engaging in debates and editing for the college newspaper. As he was still an undergraduate, he published a scholarly essay that compared the American government with the British parliamentary system, a subject that he would develop further into his book and apply his own political career. After he graduated from Princeton, he went to the University of Virginia to study law, hoping that law would lead to politics. In 1885, Wilson married Ellen Wilson. The marriage was warm and happy, although was shadowed by Ellen's depression and Wilson's brief affair with Mary Allen Peck. Ellen's death in August 1914 devastated Wilson with grief, which lifted only when he met and courted Edith Boyle Galt, whom he later married in December 1915. Wilson was a professional academic before he became president. He began his career teaching history and political science in 1885. He moved and went to the University in Connecticut in 1888. 2 years later, he went to Princeton, where he quickly became the most popular and highest paid faculty member. Later on, in 1902, he was unanimous choice to become president of Princeton. In 1910, Wilson resigned from Princeton and became governor of New Jersey. Wilson was the 43rd governor in January 17, 1911 through March 1, 1913. In 1912, Wilson entered into a three-way race for presidency. In March 1921, Wilson's term expired and he retired with his wife to Washington, D.C., where he lived until his death on February 3, 1924. 2 days later, he was buried in Washington's National Cathedral, the first president to be laid at rest in the nation's capital. As the 28th president of the United States, Thomas Woodrow Wilson had served 2 terms in office, 1913 to 1921. He was a highly respected leader to his democracy. However, his administration was not without criticism. He also faced strong optimism from Congress and the American people over his handling of the World War I and the Treaty of Versailles. Wilson had 4 strokes. His first known stroke was in 1896. He experienced pain in his right arm and lost some movement in his right hand. In 1906, he was the president of Princeton and had a stroke that left him nearly blind in his left eye. In 1913, during his first term as president of the United States, he had a severe stroke that left him temporarily paralyzed in his left arm. In 1919, Wilson attended the peace conference in Paris that followed World War I. On April 3rd, he had been in contact with the Spanish flu. 6 months later, he suffered from a severe stroke that left him paralyzed. He was unable to speak or walk without assistance and spent the rest of his life bedridden. He still planned to run for a 3rd term in office and kept his health problems very vague to the public. They thought that the president would recover. His wife had increasingly controlled access to him and acted as an unofficial chief of staff. When his sickness was discovered, up it set up the 25th Amendment, which stated that the vice president will take over if the president is unable to discharge the power and duties of his office. In 1920, Wilson lost the election to Warren Harding, which led to his wife and him moving to a townhouse in Washington, D.C., but Wilson's health didn't get any better, it only got worse. He had his fourth stroke on February 3, 1924, and caused him to die at the age of 67. Wilson was born in Virginia on December 28, 1856. He died on February 3, 1924, in Washington, D.C. Wilson was unable to read because he had dyslexia. He later developed a passion for political interest and literature. Wilson enrolled at Princeton University in 1875 and grew intellectually and started being involved in debates and editing for the college newspaper. Wilson was married twice, once to Ellen Wilson in 1885. Ellen had 3 girls, Jessie, Margaret, and Nell. Ellen passed away on 1914. Wilson was devastated with grief till he later met and married Ellen Bolingault in 1915, which they did not have any kids, but Edith had one son who died as an infant from her first marriage. I hope y'all enjoyed my project over Woodrow Wilson.